right, so here we go for just a little more. So when I left you, we were selecting by location, and we learned that the input features are the ones, so that's the field that we fill in here. That's the layer that we want to choose features from, and those are going to show up in bright cyan. And then the selecting features are the ones you are referencing a distance from or a relationship to. So this is the one that's you're gonna get road segments that show up in bright cyan. But we're looking for their relationship to county parks. And in this case, we found the road segments that were within county parks. Okay. The selecting features are the ones that you're referencing a distance from or a relationship to. So how do you use your mouse to select features? Well, let's stop for a second. And before we start clicking around with our mouse, to avoid frustration, we are going to use list by selection. To choose a layer or layers you want to select features from. It prevents you from selecting features you didn't intend to. So let's go to our GIS Basics Analysis Demos map here. And we're going to do some selecting among culverts. And first, let's clear our existing selections. So we got rid of those. And then this is where, so we have list by drawing order. So if you notice, if I pull my road segments above the culverts, now my roads show on top of the culverts. So this is listing by drawing order. If I put my rivers are probably good right where they are, but usually they run underneath roads because we have bridges over them. So, but you see if I pull that over top, that over here now, if I kind of zoomed in here, and we were looking closer, we could see that this blue line that is kind of on either side of the Spokane River now goes over the road. I don't want that, so I'm going to pull it down there. So that's list by drawing order. This next one, list by data source. Pull that out here. This shows me where each of my layers came from. So for the most part, these are coming from my county utilities here. And so they kind of show up here. So this shows me if I'm wondering, hey, where did I get that culverts layer? This shows me, okay, where I'm getting it from. And the ones that were from water infrastructure, there's 2 from there. There's 1 from road segments, and there's 1 from parks and boundaries. And then this next one, this is list by selection. That's the one I was talking about. Usually if I hover over it, shows up there, list by selection. And this is just these are going to be checked if I can select features within them. So if I don't want to accidentally click on the map and select road segments, and I really only want to get culverts, I'm going to turn these 2 off, or these 3 off. So now all my selections will just be culverts. Okay, whether I select them with the mouse or whether I select them using select by attribute. So if you know if you know which layers you want to select from, go ahead and choose them here because it's going to make things tidier. This is list by editing. We'll get to that when we work on editing. This is list by snapping. So if we're going to have layers that we can jump to kind of more specific areas, we can get there that way. And then this is list by labeling. If you've got different labeling classes on your map, when your layout, they're going to show up. Their labeling will show up how they're listed there. So these are all going to be class 1 labels. So we're only going to be able to select culverts now. And I can go to list by drawing order because that's kind of what I'm familiar looking to seeing. I think the thing I wanted to show you in your workbook is that features can be selected manually using several selection tools, yes. And the fun thing is that Esri gives you description of each of these tools, so that's kind of cool. You can read through those, but let's take a look at them. I'm going to zoom out here, and I'm going to go up to Bear Lake. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Bear Lake County Park. It's near Chattaroy. It might take me a minute to find it. Let's see here. If I were going to drive up Division. There we go. Chattaroy, Bear Lake County Park. There it is. Okay. I figured we'd look at some things in Bear Lake. I'm going to turn the culverts back on. They're the only ones that I can select. I can also turn my road segments on. That's fine. They're just not something I'm going to be selecting for. So here's our select options. If you just default and you just click on that once, you get a tool here that if you drag over, it'll make a rectangle. And now I just selected that culvert. So that's kind of a simple one. If I click on this one, it'll select this one instead. If I hold down Shift and select another one, it'll add to the selection. If I don't hold down Shift and select another one, it'll just be that one. Okay. So the default is going to be rectangle. If I want something other than rectangle, I can select by polygon, by lasso, by circle, by line, or by trace. For the most part, you're going to use rectangle or circle. I wanted to show you a fun feature of circle. So if I choose circle and I hold it down and I press R, start that and I hit R, I can get a radius here and it'll draw a circle for me, select everything within that of a certain radius. I think in the tasks I wanted you to find all culverts within a mile of Bear Lake, and I'm going to hit enter there, and now it just selected all culverts within a mile of Bear Lake. Let me just check to make sure that was what I asked you to do for your tasks. So I scroll down here a little bit, preview. Yeah, within 1 mile of Bear Lake. So for this one section, humor me, just because, like I said, selections are kind of transient. They come and they go. We're not creating something new or symbolizing something in a different way. Before we clear this, go ahead and show me that you did it, and take a quick screenshot showing the culverts within a mile of Bear Lake. I don't really care what scale you show me at, but just grab that one, paste it into a Word document, then you can show me on Canvas. Okay? All right, so I'm going to clear that selection. What else did I want you to tell me about? So we just selected in a few different ways the ones that we're mostly going to use. Oh, then how can I create a new feature class from the features I've selected? Now this is kind of fun and important. So sometimes we want to create a whole new class of a whole new feature class, a whole new set of data. And so let's look at let's see, road segments that might be problematic from an erosion standpoint. So let's select our, oh, we can't select anything because we just have culverts as an option right now. So let's make sure we can select just road segments. All right, and so let's select by attributes. Let's select road segments that I think should be a priority for cleaning up. So those are going to be your fixing up, making sure they're not eroding. So let's select where the surface is graded and drained, because that's not even gravel. And let's add another clause, and other surfaces that might be tricky. And we're going to use or, so we get both of these. So graded and drained surface, or an unimproved surface for sure. Maybe gravel or stone too. That's going to be a lot of roads, but I think it could be interesting. And we'll use this new feature class for some stuff later. Oh, sorry, we want not through lane surface, so you just want surface. Graded and drained, unimproved, or gravel. All right. And so these are roads that could contribute to air pollution. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK and get those. Oh, there's a lot in the county, aren't there? Ooh, let's look at the attribute table for road segments. So about a third of our roads meet those criteria, our dirt roads, country roads. Oh, dang it, did I just clear everything? Okay, so the nice thing is the queries stay in here, so I can add them again if I accidentally clear them. Okay, oh, and that's the reason I cleared them is because right now, I don't know if you can tell the tool I have, it's the loop selection tool, so anywhere I click, it's gonna try to create a new selection. I don't want that, let's just use our pan tool. All right, that's a lot to work with. So I'm going to say let's add one more criteria. Let's select those roads that have all those features but are close to water. So then we're going to focus on roads that would be more apt to create a water pollution problem. So we're going to say road segments, and it already has a selection, so that's great. We just want to work with those that are already have a surface that's vulnerable to erosion. And we want to say road segments that are within a distance of, not county parks, but of rivers. How far? If I think in feet, I think better, I honestly think better in meters. Is that even going to be an option for me? Or miles. Within a quarter mile, now of course, you know, erosion can happen anywhere in a watershed. The closer you are to the river, the more likely you're going to have direct input. So maybe we will stay with feet, and we'll say like 300 feet. That's like 100 meters ish. I think that's reasonable. You could get like that kind of just total rivulet erosion, making little gullies and whatnot. So let's hit OK there and see what we get now. Okay, so that's fewer. That's going to be a little bit more manageable data set. All right, and we can look at the attribute table to see what does that look like. Now we've got 948 road segments. All right, and so what I'm showing you how to do is how to export that and make it its own layer, or export it and turn it into its own feature class that you could then run geoprocessing tools on. What's the difference between a layer and a feature class? So a layer just references an already existing feature class, and basically it puts a query on top of that and says, hey, go to this existing feature class and pull out all of the records that meet the criteria that she already set up and show them on the map separately. If I were to delete the original feature class, I'd lose that layer. And I can't run geoprocessing tools on just a layer. We're going to talk about geoprocessing tools very soon, but there's some of the power that we get with GIS. So I couldn't do something like clip or buffer or modify a layer. I can only do that with a feature class. So with that said, to either create a layer or a feature class, we're going to go directly in the contents to the layer that has the selection in it. In this case, it's the road segments that has the selection. I'm going to right click on it, and we can go down to selection. We have a few different options here. We can zoom to the selection. All right, so that shows me all the selected features. Selection. We can pan to the selection, clear it. We don't want to do that. Switch the selection, select all, select the visible features, make a layer from selected features. Let's do that. And now we have road segment selection, but that's a lame name, right? We want something that actually describes what we've really got here. So roads, soft surface roads, then 100, or no, it was 300. That's very descriptive, but it'll help me. I can always change it in the legend later, but it lets me remember what I'm dealing with there. And I can give it a different symbol, like these are the roads we're concerned about, so maybe I'll even show them up in like orange or something. And now I can clear my selection, and I'm going to see those roads on here. And so they're going to become my priority roads from the standpoint of like water pollution. I could turn my colors off because they're kind of in the way. Right. So basically I created a whole new layer. But remember, this layer just references the original road segments feature class, and I can't do fancy things with it. If I wanted to do something fancy with it, there's a couple options. I can just take that layer that I created and go down to data, export features, and basically I'm going to export that whole layer and turn it into its own feature class. So I'm inputting that and I'm outputting it. I could call it something like Now that doesn't look any different on the map, but it has more functions. The feature class is going to have, you're going to be able to run geoprocessing tools on it. So if you do create it, and the other thing is, where is that saved? Well, it's going to be saved to my home geodatabase for the project. And there it is. So this is congratulations, this is the first time that you have created a feature class in GIS. So you just created a new set of data and you saved it right here in the GIS Basics Analysis Demos. It's our roads vulnerable to erosion, and we'll do fun stuff with this layer later. But I just wanted to kind of show you how to run through that. I can remove this one from the map, so I'm not redundant there. And of course, before I would lay this all out, I would give it, I'd give everybody a name that was meaningful. Okay? Okay, save that puppy. All right, what else did we want to say in the workbook? I just talked through this stuff. Create new layers. Okay, if you want to create a new layer that includes only those features you have currently selected, you're going to right-click on the layer that has a selection of the contents. Under the selection menu, you see an option to, what did I say? What's that option called again? Make layer from selected features. That's what it's called. Okay, and this, make layer from selected feature. This something create a new feature class. This will create a new feature class. Oh no, this doesn't. Does not create a new feature class. That just created a new layer. The layer references back to the original feature class and shows only those features that you designated, right, in the selection. Okay, that's what I talked about. And then if you want to create a new feature class, which we did and we wanted to, you're going to right click on the layer with the selection and choose data from the menu. And when you export that, okay, so let's see. If you want to create a new feature class, you're going to right click on the layer with a selection and choose data from the menu. And it's gonna, when you do that, it'll only select it'll only export the features that are selected. So you can either run that on a layer you created from the selection, or just run it on the original layer that has a selection in that. Either one will create a feature class with just that data that you'd indicated. And then it'll have all the functionality of a feature class rather than just a layer. So this is just kind of showing some of that. You're going to make a layer from the select feature there. Or you can export the features, and this was when I had some selections from the culverts, and you can export that. And especially you're going to want to make a new feature class if you're going to use that new the newly selected features as part of a geoprocessing tools or run any analysis on them. All right, so then you've got some terms you should be comfortable with. Go ahead and fill yourself in definitions here if needed, and then the couple tasks to try out. I know I told you right where to take the screenshots, so you should have those ready. And then to check yourself and make sure that you kind of can do it independently without following along. Go ahead and try to create don't try, just do, right? There is no try. Create a selection of fish-bearing culverts located within 50 meters of roads with an unimproved, graded and drained, or gravel and stone surface road segments, okay? So fish-bearing culverts within 50 meters of these roads that would be likely to erode. And then I've got a couple options, resources here, if you want to dig a little bit deeper or see things in a different way. All right, I will catch you with more analysis next time.